restoring men and history. Dutch Coda, leadership, courage. He had it all at D-Day. Who was Dutch Coda? Major General, Assistant Commander of the 29th Infantry Division. He was to land at Omaha Beach for Operation Overlord in World War II. He had pushed for a nighttime landing, but his superiors said otherwise. They were going at day. His last meeting took place on board the USS Charles Carroll on 1400 hour at 5th of June. It was approaching the Normandy coast. These were his final comments to his staff. This is different from any of the exercises that you've had so far. The little discrepancies that we tried to correct at Slapton Sands are going to be magnified and are going to give way to incidents you might at first view as chaotic. The air and naval bombardment and the artillery support are reassuring, but you're going to find confusion. The landing craft aren't going in on schedule, and people are going to be landed in the wrong place. Some won't be landed at all. The enemy will try and have some success in preventing our gaining a lodgment. But we must improvise. Carry on. Not lose our heads. Nor must we add to the confusion. You must try to alleviate confusion. But in doing so, be careful not to create more. Ours is not the job of actually commanding, but of assisting. If possible, always work through the commander of a group. This is necessary to avoid conflicts, duplications of both orders and efforts. Members of the Bastard Brigade agreed that Coda's words were needed to round things off, warn them of the practical difficulties they could expect on the beach, and give them some general rules on which to base their actions and decisions in the hours to follow. That's from combatleadership.com. Major Stephen McGeorge pulled that. Now, when Coda hit the beach, it was worse, and you can imagine how bad it was. Shells flying everywhere, machine gun fire, boats exploding in front of you. Set yourself at the scene. This is what he was going into. This is what his men were at. This is what all the men were at D-Day. One man, and I read a lot of different accounts on D-Day, and we won't get into all of them because I want to keep them somewhat short today, but said that every inch of the beach had explosions or machine gun fire. Every inch, he said. And he said he would see a whole boat of men explode. And he said the noise was awful. So you can imagine what it would be like, the noise, the death of men around, the sounds. Coda went up to some men and tried to rally the shell-shocked men. He strode upright and willed them to fight. He uttered the words, "Gentlemen, we are being killed on the beaches. Let us go inland and be killed." At least he was given credit for that. Some people say it was a different colonel, but he was credited for that. SOFREP and a gentleman named Steve Balesietiri wrote that. On the beach, he came up on some troops. He asked, "What outfit is this?" "5th Rangers," they yelled. In an effort to inspire Schneider's men to leave the cover of the seawall and advance through the breach, Coda replied, "Well, if you're Rangers, then get up there and lead the way." Rangers lead the way became the motto of the U.S. Army Rangers, and that's from different accounts. Wikipedia, they cite forging a special operation force, the U.S. Army Rangers, and of course that's also in the SOFREP story. So, and this was a great story coming up that always stuck with me. And remember, he's a major general leading from the front. And I had read it years and years ago, so I looked it up today. And it's always stuck with me. I've told it many times, because it's the essence of good leadership. And you don't hear this often, of a major general doing this. You can find it in Citizen Soldier Stephen Ambrose book too, and we're going to take some quotes from that book out of this SOFREP article mentioned earlier. So here's what happened. Kota came upon a group of soldiers. They were pinned in front of a farmhouse with a German machine gun nest in it. Here's the exchange from citizen soldiers. Kota came upon the men. He asked the captain, "Why aren't you men trying to take the house?" Or in the book it says, why his men were trying to take the house. The captain replied, "Sir, the Germans are in there shooting at us." "Well, I'll tell you what, Captain." Unbuckling 2 grenades from his jacket, "You and your men start shooting at them. I'll take a squad of men, and you and your men watch carefully. I'll show you how to take a house with the Germans in it." Kota led his squad around a hedge to get as close as possible to the house. Suddenly he gave a whoop and raced forward, the squad following, yelling like wild men. As they tossed grenades in the windows, Kota and another man kicked in the front door, tossed a couple of grenades inside, waited for the explosions, then dashed into the house. The surviving Germans inside were screaming and running for their lives. Here's another great part of the story. Kota returned to the captain. "Captain, you've seen how to take a house. Do you understand? Do you know how to do it?" "Yes, sir," said the captain. "Well, I won't be around to do it for you again," Kota said. "I can't do it for everybody." Notice Kota kicked in the door and led in the house himself. Notice he led around himself. He was leading from the front. That's leadership, and it's not just a good story just for soldiers, but for fathers, anyone wanting to teach their sons, or anyone wanting to mentor someone. That is outstanding leadership, gentlemen. He takes risk, and he's a good role model for his men, for the soldiers. Risk, courage, leadership. General Kota had it that day. Thank you.